Hello and welcome to another Solution Sunday where the soul is the solution. I'm Lisa Warner and I am here today with my new good friend, Tracy Desjardins. And she is the author of the new book that will be released this week called The Diet-Free Diva. Tracy Desjardins is an international health coach, mind-body eating coach, fitness professional, and writer who specializes in holistic wellness coaching for women. Through her prior struggles with overweight, dieting, binge eating, sugar addiction, and emotional eating challenges, Tracy shares a compassionate space with other women working through similar trials. Tracy shares a compassionate space with Tracy's professional work is centered around helping women discover their very own transformative steps to finding sustainable peace with food, body, and self without restrictive dieting ever again. Tracy, welcome to Solution Sunday.
So excited to be here. Thanks so much for having me and happy Sunday.
Thank you to you too. It is a sunny day here.
Yeah.
So Tracy, I'm so excited to have you on this show because diet-free is like right up my alley. You know, I am all about unlimiting ourselves and we are unlimited beings living in a really crazy limited world here. So it's all about unlimiting. So talk to us a little bit about what is a diet-free diva and how did you come up with this?
I love what you just said, first of all, about unlimited, living in a limited world and then moving forward being unlimited. And that really does describe a lot of the motivation that I had for writing this book. And so with regards to, ask me the question again. I got so carried away with your unlimited term. What was the question that you asked me? I don't want to veer down the wrong path.
There is no wrong path, no right path, no wrong path, just a path, wherever it leads. So yeah, how did you end up with, writing about diet-free? Got
it. Well, honestly, I have always loved to write. And I've had a calling for, gosh, I don't know, I'm going to say 20 years. Like I really wanted to write a book, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to write about. And I never in a million years thought that I would end up writing about a struggle that I had that I hid from the world. And now I'm blabbing it to everybody in the entire world. And it wound up this way. So I wanted to wait until I had the clear sign of passion to write about what I wanted to write about. And my passion ended up being a problem that I've dragged around with me for a very, very long time. And it's very, very surreal to me. I'm very, very excited to put this out there in my own flavorful way to help other women. And I'm hoping that when they read my book, that they will be encouraged if they can relate to the struggles that I've had in my life with food, body, and myself, that they can also maybe have the inspiration and the courage like I did to just start talking about it. Because when we talk about it and we commune with other women that feel like, hey, you know what, she gets me, then we start to walk down the path of healing from this destructive dieting journey that a lot of us have been on. So how about if I kind of go back just to give the reader or the listeners here a chance to get to know me a little bit and where I landed with my passion to write the Diet-Free Diva. Well, I was born in 1970. And that was kind of in I'd say like the eye of the hurricane with the processed food revolution. So kind of just starting there. I was born in 1970 and I just remember from a very early age, I just loved sweets. I loved them. I couldn't get enough of them. Cookies, cakes, candies. I mean, some of my earliest memories as a child involve eating sweets. And it was kind of a joke in my family, like, oh, you should see Tracy around sweets. And, yeah, I mean, I had this issue where just one serving of anything was never really enough for me as a small child. So I had that little kind of like sweet tooth issue, and as I kind of grew up, I was always that child that was, it's not that I overate in general. I did love sweets. I'm going somewhere with this, but I remember I was just kind of like a chubby little girl. I remember my best friend growing up in the neighborhood, like we looked like Laurel and Hardy. Like she was like the stick figure, the kitty, whatever she wanted. And I was kind of like roly-poly, and I wore the clothes that were like the pretty plus section of JCPenney's. And, so as I'm in elementary school, I remember having to wear at a certain point in my life, having to wear like the stretchy pants. And here's something that's really important about that is I remember also, I didn't really care about that. There was a time in my life where like, okay, well, these are the clothes I have to wear. And hey, they're kind of comfortable. They're like today's yoga pants to a degree, like back then.
Right.
They were polyester and they had the stretchy bands. And
Yeah.
I would say before fifth grade, and I was wearing those clothes, I had the persona of, I was always kind of loud. I was getting in trouble in school just from laughing a lot in the classroom. And I remember as a creative child, when I had to sit through certain subjects in school, I almost physically could not do it. So I would start to like poke at my friends during class, and I would get people laughing, and I would get in trouble for that. But I kind of like that part of me.
It's
Like
a
it was
crime to make people laugh.
Yes, I had a really hard time sitting still. And I just had this essence about me where, you know what, life is good. Laughter is really, really fun. Laughter is love and joy. And I had no problem making friends for the most part. And I liked myself in my pretty plus clothes. My hair was a mess. And I just remember enjoying life. I remember like being loud in Girl Scout meetings with my other loud friends. And we were always getting in trouble. And I felt like I was living my authentic self. I was kind of like I was a rule follower to a degree, but that aspect of breaking the rules to shed light and laughter and love with other people, that kind of rocked my world a little bit. I liked that. And I was going somewhere with that. So, I remember, especially in fourth grade, that is really when I was my unapologetic self, like my free spirit alive. And, that was like age 10. And something happened like starting in fifth grade where, the hormones start changing. And I remember going into the fifth grade and I was a completely different person. Like what happened to me that summer? I don't even know. But I remember all of a sudden, I didn't like my pretty plus clothes anymore. I didn't like my hair, and I really didn't like my chubby body. I started to catch on to something that I was reading in the media, seeing in the media, and all these things, and hearing, well, thin is in, and I wasn't thin. And all of a sudden, I believed that I was too loud. I wasn't enough, and I had to fix myself. I had to change my body and pretty much everything about myself right away, because what appeared to be attractive, even in the fifth grade, by what society was telling me, I didn't fit that mold. So I took my fourth grade happy, free-spirited child and I put her over here. And I took on the belief from what the world was selling me on. And I followed that trajectory because it was almost like that inner fighter in me was like, I'm going to fit in. I'm going to be accepted and I'm going to be loved. And I have to do this, and this to get there. So then this was like what, 1979, 1980, 81, 82, somewhere around that. And it was like Diet Mania came onto the scene. And I was a little girl. I mean, 11, 12. I mean, that's precious timing, and my body's changing. Hormones are changing. Things are going crazy. And for the first time ever, I started to not like myself. And that was really the beginning of the trajectory where I just felt like I needed to be different. And I remember it was really, really hard. I wasn't athletically inclined. I tried a bunch of sports, which knowing now, that was really great that I tried those sports that I wasn't that good at. I tried. And I started to develop a lot of limiting beliefs about myself. And a lot of that really played out in restricting my food. I believed that that fighter in me, I put that towards these dieting tactics because thin was in, look at the Barbie doll, Lisa. I mean, really,
right?
I did not look like that Barbie doll. Okay. I mean, who does?
Yeah,
But if you
exactly.
think about the influences back then, I mean, I was short and stocky and strong, and I loved to roller skate, lots of good things, but I had this belief system that that was embarrassing and that wasn't enough. And if I was going to be successful on some level in my life, I had to follow the pack. So I started dieting in my own ways. I remember like taking my lunch to, I think this was like 7th grade, hard-boiled eggs, saltine crackers, I think some carrots, and I would buy a carton of skim milk.
Oh,
And it was terrible, but
yeah.
I felt empowered by that somehow. And I could do that for a certain time period. But then when we had to like have a fundraiser where we sold candy, like I remember being in the chorus and I was selling candy, these little boxes of M&Ms for like 50 cents. I was binging. So I developed a pattern of restrict. And I kind of liked it when I was in that fight. It was euphoric. I remember this, restrict. And then I would lose my mind. It was like an out of body experience. And of course, I would binge on whatever I could get my hands on. It was always sugar, anything sweet, chewy, crunchy, sweet. It was always sweet. So my childhood sweet tooth, right, turned into an absolute monster when I began dieting. So I really, really was in a war, not knowing it, of trying to fix my body with diets, binging, I mean, really binging, and then starting over again. In my teen years, I discovered aerobic exercise. My dad joined a local gym, and my dad was always like the fitness guy in the basement in our house. And he would put on oldies when I was a kid, and he'd encourage me to come downstairs, and I would run around in the basement with him. And it was a blast. And I'd be sweating like a pig, and it felt good. I remember that. And I was on to something then, like, you know what? I feel really great when I run around to music and I sweat and I run out of breath. So I think he knew that I felt that way. And so when aerobics came on the scene, I was the youngest person in the class. He encouraged me to go in and take, I think you might like this new class that they're offering at the gym. Why don't you come with me and you can take, I said, okay. So I went in, and I think I was 13. I took my first aerobics class. And it was just an absolute blast. So, here's me. I was, still I had like my chubby body, and I'm in there with my leotard on, and youngest person. And it just was filled with a room full of people that were just living. I felt like, okay, my 4th grade, let's laugh in the classroom. Life is good. I felt that in that aerobics class. And the instructor was not the stereotypical, skinny body in front of the room. She didn't smile much, but she could jump around and move, and she was strong, and she played great music. And I remember being so inspired by her, like, wow, like I felt like that, except I smiled more. And that infused some inspiration in me, which I think saved my life in a lot of ways, that I'm good at this, and this is fun. And this is how I can let out some of that pent up energy that's in me about, I need to fix myself and my struggles in the world socially. And like, yeah, I always went to aerobics classes after that, typically by myself. And it was like a way to escape from middle school, high school. It was really great. And, but at the same time, I also started this very ineffective tactic that I dragged with me for, oh my gosh, like 3.5 decades, is I tried to out exercise those sugar binges that occurred when I was dieting, trying to fix myself to look like something, to be thin, to feel accepted and loved by the world, that led to binges, that led to me doing excessive exercise to try to erase the damage that occurred from the dieting that led to the binging. I lived that for a really long time. And it ebbed and flowed, Lisa, like it ebbed and flowed. And there were times when, I'm early on in college, I became a certified aerobics instructor, and it was so much fun. It was so great. I got a job at a local health club, and I taught any class they gave me. I was the new one on the totem pole, and, I taught whatever, and I taught a lot. And it did appear to work it was like the fat-free phenomenon in the late 80s, early 90s. Fat-free, the pretzels on the diet, the hard pretzels and the diet right. The Captain Crunch cereal, it was fat-free.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm like gorging on it. We all did it. And strangely enough, I think when you're young, you can get away with certain things, but I was losing weight. I was dieting very hard, binging pretty hard, exercising real hard. And I felt empowered by that, but it was very dysfunctional. And I lived in this world of like, okay, I'm controlling this. If I can control this, then I can do anything. And it was really this inner war that I was creating that I didn't know would get worse. So I lived this trajectory of diet, binge, exercise. After college, after I had my kids, then I got into programs like Weight Watchers, Zone, Protein Bar Mania. I tried a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I always really kind of hated those commercial diets. So I would translate that into my own set of rules as a creative person. I would translate that into my way. And it was very, very, very restricted. And I never saw the light as to that the restriction was causing the binges. I thought that I was lacking willpower and there was literally something wrong with me and I was some sort of sloth. I really believe that. Yeah. And I would just get up, I would brush myself off, and I would try again. It was always a Monday morning thing. I did this for so long. Of course, I never talked to, maybe a couple of people, and they might be listening to this right now. You know who you are if I shared this with you. I was really embarrassed by this because I was in fitness. I was an instructor. I became a trainer, and I felt like I owed it to the people that came to my classes that I really had my act together, that I really lived this clean eating life. And I felt like I wouldn't be respected by my members and my clients unless I was way up here with my own habits and I had all the answers to help them. And it was like such an ego-driven thing, but I didn't know any different. I was really into all of those like women's health and fitness magazines, and nobody ever talked about emotional eating, mindfulness techniques. If they did, I skipped over it because all I believed was dieting programming, which is all about control, fighting, do this, don't do that, eat this, don't eat that. And what it does is it robs us of the inner wisdom. We know what to eat and how much of it. But when we buy into the dieting culture, they tell us you can't trust yourself. You can only trust this program. You could trust my way and buy all of my things. I mean, I could probably own a condo at the beach for everything I spent on dieting crap and all the food that I spent on the binges, all the drive-thrus in Dunkin' Donuts and all those other places. Honestly. And so what happened is, as I got older, okay, like end of my 30s, my 30s were really hard for me. I was really playing that diet, restrict, binge, exercise, repeat cycle. Oh my goodness. And then when I turned 40 and the hormones start shifting, things start shifting, and I couldn't get away. I couldn't handle the level of binging that I used to do, and I couldn't recover from it as quick. So I felt like I was wisening up a little. And mind you, I'm reading a lot on, it was always the clean eating and the healthy eating, the baking healthy, this, that healthy. It was always about the food and the exercise programming. It was nothing about anything else. It was always the food and the exercise. And I felt like as a, fit pro, I'm the expert at all that. So that's what I should be diving into. I was missing so many things. I started to curtail the binging, but I still kept in a lot of my healthy baked goods that I would overeat. Okay. And I was always chasing 10 pounds, always had 10 pounds to lose. It was always, well, when I get the 10 pounds off, well, then I'm going to feel great about my life. And then maybe I'll write my book about whatever it is I'm going to write about. But first, I have to lose these 10 pounds. So here we go. What's my restrictive pathway now? And I kept doing it. It was always there. And I'm thinking, gosh, when am I going to get there? When am I going to give myself permission to really be happy in my body and really authentic to the world? I mean, I'm a pretty upfront kind of person. I can get along with just about everybody, but I felt like I was holding something back. I really did. And so fast forward, 2020, pandemic hits. At that point, I owned my own personal training studio. And I was working by myself. I had gone a different route with my fitness career. And I was working really, really hard. It was going well. I was working with amazing people. I was exhausted. It was just me, myself, and I, my son joined me in the business. And I thought that's where I needed to be. I thought, well, Tracy, this is what you do. This is what you do well. This is what you've always done well when you've had a following with. Keep on this fitness pathway. And I was starting to get physically tired. I was exercising myself a lot. I was just getting tired. My spirit was like waving the flag. Look, hey, pay attention. I didn't know what that was. I just kept going, kept pushing. And so when pandemic hit, just like everybody else in the world, I'm forced at home. I had to shut my business down. And I was forced, Lisa, to be present with myself.
Right.
Okay, I'm at home. There's a lot of presence. There's a lot of space. I heard a lot of voices. And it was uncomfortable as hell because I've been running my whole life. Running plus diet, binge, exercise, repeat. All of a sudden I'm home. What am I going to do? When can I reopen? I don't sit still well. I'm here with me. I'm finally here with me, myself, and I. So I thought that I was done with my sugar binging, but I wasn't, apparently. And I started binging on Ben & Jerry's every night for dinner. I'm not kidding. It was like, what flavor are we having tonight? And my husband, he just I think he knew better than to go there with me. He loves me so much. He's just like, well, now she's working through this. And he was eating his own junk because it's pandemic. What do we do? Everybody's just kind of lost it.
Right.
So for 2.5 weeks, I'm losing my mind in my Ben & Jerry's. And I just had like a meltdown from hell. That was my turning point. And I'll never forget this. I've told so many people this, like I felt like God took me and shook me like a rag doll. Can you listen to me now? There's a problem here and I have your solutions. Can you listen to me now? I'm like, I'll never forget that day. And I felt like he was saying, there are 2 directions you can go in your life now, 2. And he was speaking lovingly to me. I felt this. You can either keep doing your thing, the diet, your way, restrict your way, your rules, have nothing to do with him. You keep doing your thing with your ego front and center. You keep doing that, try harder. Yep. Hasn't worked. Then why would that work now? And if you keep doing that, things are going to get worse. Physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And I felt it. I felt myself like falling apart. I did. And then he said, trust me. I have the people that can help you. And I've got these little avenues, but you need help. What do you say? I was like, I'm in. So it's funny how I became aligned with certain people in my life. I put my ego aside as the fitness. And by the way, I was a health coach. Certified in 2013, but I was hiding. Of course, I'm binging on sweets all the time. I can't coach somebody else. If they know my little dark secret, they're not gonna, I mean, I talk about feeling like an imposter I did a little bit of health coaching and I felt horrible about it because I felt like if they only knew. And here I am on your show right now, Lisa, right? So what I discovered is when I put my ego aside and kind of became open to listening to some people about doing some, they called inner work. And I had time to examine these voices that I've been dragging around with me my whole life. And this one particular one was quite the bully. Like, wow, who is that? I'm kind of tired of her.
Right.
And my coach taught me how to recognize that voice and how to rewire and bring in this other voice that is compassionate, empathetic, loving, and nurturing. Yeah. I didn't know how to do that. Most of us don't. When we've been dieting forever, the diet books don't tell you about how to talk to yourself. They just tell you, well, follow these rules and fight, and there's an end date. Weigh yourself. So I just began, I must have read 50 books over a pandemic on everything I could get my hands on sugar addiction, emotional eating, mindset shifting, spirituality. I read all kinds of stuff that helped me connect the dots with my coach. And I laughed and cried my way I started right at the beginning of the pandemic with that ice cream. I reckon 2 weeks into that, I have time to invest in myself now. It was the most, with all due respect to everybody that's gone through a pandemic, I know terrible, terrible things have happened, families. It was an awakening for me. And I began with, I didn't diet. I started nourishing myself.
There you go.
With wholesome foods. Okay, but the food part of it wasn't my weak link. It was the other things like the voices. What do I really value in my life? Why am I postponing my happiness until I lose these 10 pounds? And I realized, here's the kicker, Lisa. I realized it became clear to me how much of my precious life I have given away to the fight with dieting that caused the sugar addiction, caused the sugar binges, caused me to abuse my body with exercise. I wasn't nourishing myself with that exercise. In a way I was, it felt great, all that stuff. But I was fighting myself with the exercise. I've spent most of my life doing that. And now I know better. So during pandemic, Lisa, I opened up a Word document and I'm typing away. I'm typing away anything that came to mind. And it felt so good. I carved out time every morning. My brain was fresh and I'm typing. I started to write, unbeknownst then, my food story.
Right.
As I went as far back as I could remember. And it is so long. I didn't know what I was doing. All I knew is it felt good to release this. And I would read it back and cry. And I'm like, ooh, I'm onto something. So energetically, I came in contact with this lovely person who wrote a book. I bought her book. I loved her book. I said, how'd you write that book? I like you. Well, hey, I went this route. And I found this guy named Keith Leon, and he taught me how I can write my book.
Yeah.
And so with a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, with the patience of his team, because writing this book, I was unleashing the Kraken that I had inside that was like really holding me back. I got rid of that. And I brought in an inner nurturing coaching voice that helped me eloquently work with these editors to put my words on paper. And it's really kind of funny because it was a labor of love, this book, The DietFree Diva, because remember how I said I was the fourth grade, I was kind of like a rebel in a way, like, I'm going to do things my way, like creative side of me. Well, I'm going to do things my way. Well, I jumped the tracks on the program to write this book. And it's kind of, I can laugh at it now, but I jumped the tracks because something wasn't resonating with me about my chapter 5. I didn't like it. I wasn't saying what I wanted to say to the world. I didn't like it. I was struggling. So long story short, Keith says, Tracy, you jumped the tracks. So I invested a little bit more into this program. So glad I did, because I needed some help. Just like we need guidance. We need support in this breaking free from dieting. We can't do it ourselves, right? I needed support in helping me get these words together. And I'm very happy with my chapter 5 now. But I trusted my instincts. Look, I got to go over here. I'm going to get slapped on my hand, and it cost me a little bit, but I learned a lot, and I'm glad that I did, because I got here. And what I discovered in my own healing, and it took me, gosh, I wrote this book as I healed, and I'm just so very proud of it. It's 5 steps to freedom with food, body, and self on your trusted and sustainable terms. And what that means is we know how to eat, what to eat, how to move our bodies. We know that inside.
Mm-hmm.
And if I would have known that back in the 5th grade when I started dieting, I would have saved years and years and years of strife. But my strife was my purpose in my life now. A lot of times our challenge, like it's our thing that's going to help somebody else. And when I realized that when I'm writing, I just felt like, I don't know, I felt like I jumped over a fence and I'm running and running and running with something that was very exciting. And so, I struggled with the title of the book, and here's how I landed on it. I thought, like, who am I when I'm not fighting with food, body, and myself? Like, who am I? Like, I'm quite the diva. And what I mean by that is that 4th grade badass, free-spirited, happy girl, she's still in there. I had to go get her. And now we're taking life and we're running with it. My best diva self is in my writing. It's in my healing from this toxicity with dieting that's holding so many women back. And I want to be a voice to help other women heal, to know that there is a better way, that they can block out the noise. I talk about special glasses in my book. One of the tools, special glasses, as we will go through life, because there are things challenging us. Believe me, special glasses on. And I show a pathway of healing on your terms. I teach you how to find your wisdom, because once you find that, then you can live your life on your best diva terms. What do I mean by best diva? I believe that all women, there's something that you do really well. There are a few things that you do really well, but there's something that you do really well, and you know that. And if you're putting that thing on hold until you lose the 10 pounds, until you figure out how to eat, until you just like your body again, all that stuff, then it's just a shame. So it's time to figure things out and do it now. Put yourself out there now. It's time to give yourself permission to be happy now. I mean, right now in your body, because now is the time. And I talk about how to break that down. And that can be confusing to a lot of people. If somebody told me, hey, Tracy, be happy now, when I was binging on the Ben & Jerry's or whatever, the donuts, how can I be happy now when I feel bloated in my body and I'm addicted to sugar and all that? I talk about that in the book, and it has a lot to do with compassion and taking that inner bully that we all have, looking at that inner bully and doing something about her. Mm-hmm. And it's about how we can rewrite our story moving forward, rewrite our story. And your story is yours. It's unique to you. And guess what? When you rewrite that story, you can trust yourself again with food. And when you trust yourself with food, you trust yourself with life, and the world better look out, because that thing that you do well when you're not fighting anymore with food, body, self is going to be out there, and it feels great. How do I know that? Because I feel like I'm there. and I'm never going to stop running. This book is my first of hopefully many, but this was my first stab at it. First stab.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. That was a lot. Thank you for giving me this space to babble.
Absolutely. You know, Keith Leon, he is family here. He is our monthly guest on Soulution Sunday. So all of our listeners who have been listening to Soulution Sunday, we all know Keith. And so they don't call him the book guy for nothing. He knows his stuff, and he's such a kind and compassionate person. And he really is able to help pull out the best in each of us, you know, pulling out that inner diva. That, to me, the word diva is connected to the word divine. And it's connecting to our own divinity, the divinity within, the part of us that is connected to part of source, God, universe itself. And when we start to connect to that part of ourselves, we start living in harmony with the universe. And we start living in harmony with ourselves. And this is the root of all healing, whether you're healing from a physical issue or from an addiction issue or from whatever it is. It's the ability to connect into that which truly nourishes us. You know, we're all taught about we have to have the right food to nourish us. But if we're not being nourished from source itself, from the living life force energy that all things in the universe come from, if we're not connected to that and we're not allowing that living life force energy to flow to us and through us, we're not being nourished and we're not being nurtured from the inside. And this is where that is all coming from as well. So I love that you're really talking about that spiritual connection, because that's the root of all of it.
I love how you connected diva to divine. I wrote that down. I'm going to run with it because it's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true, you know, and Lisa, I know you'll agree with this. We were all born, I believe, with a gift, a talent, something that we do well. Absolutely. That helps other people. What we do well helps other people. It's a source of love. Like, we were all born with our own gift to give love and receive love. Mm-hmm. And when we are resisting, and you talk about that in your book, Lisa, The Simplicity of Health Self-Healing. By the way, this Lisa's book, The Simplicity of Self-Healing, it's amazing. Goes along with the DietFree Diva in many ways. When we are fighting and fighting and fighting, and dieting it's one big giant fight. There's
Life has been turned into one big giant fight on this planet.
Yes. And when we're in fight mode, we're never going to get to where we were meant to go.
Exactly.
Because it's a war.
Yep.
And you know what else, Lisa? A lot of the conditioning that we've learned as early children, our parents wanted to keep us safe. They wanted us to be successful. They wanted us to survive. Yep. Get it? I'm a parent. I get that. Yeah. And sometimes, you know, and teachers and coaches were taught to fight. You got to fight. You got to be strong. Yeah. I can't wait to be a grandmother. I'm not yet, but I cannot wait. Because there's also now an opportunity to teach children that love is smarter. Yes. And it's actually stronger than the fight.
And you know, the thing is that the children come in and they are unconditional love itself. They already know this. Yeah. You know, all of us, when we were born, we are the soul that chooses to come into a body to have physical experience. So as we are born in this world, we are the soul in a body. And babies, they don't have a mind yet. They don't think in words. They're the observer. It's pure source running through the body. And then we're all taught to think. And we're all taught to think in very specific ways. We're shipped off to school and taught how to think. Well, the soul doesn't need to think. The soul just simply knows. The soul has infinite universal wisdom. We are connected to source wisdom right off the bat. But then when we're trained to think, here's what you're supposed to look like. Look at all the magazines. They'll show you what you need to look like. Here's what you need to eat. Captain Crunch, blah, 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 right? Like, this is how you start your day with your Lucky Charms. Like, right? It's like, and we're just, and, hey, you're not happy. Well, there's a pill for that. And we're just simply we're taught out of our inner knowing. We're taught out of our divinity. We're disconnected from our divinity. And because we are disconnected from our divinity, we're no longer being nourished from the inside out. And we're looking for the nourishment from the outside in. So we're looking for those comfort foods. We're looking for that little quick fix that, gives us a little jolt of that little sugar rush. Ooh, that's fun. Now I feel a little bit of something moving through, like, oh, maybe this is my answer because I feel a little better now. Until a couple hours later when you crash, it's like, oh, what's wrong with me? And yikes.
Well, along those lines, let's just stop there because you brought up such an amazing point. There's a chapter in my book where I talk about early conditioning with food. I mean, food is love. Of course. I mean, yeah, food is going to make us feel good. And it should. I mean, if anybody tells you, well, this makes me nuts. I'm about to say what makes me, when I hear this, I just go off the rails. Food is fuel. Eat to fuel your body. Really? Okay. So anybody that asks us to take the pleasure and the love out of eating, good luck with that. Run for the hills. If you hear anybody say food is fuel, treat it as fuel, you should just fuel your body.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. I mean, food is here. We're in relationship with food. Food is life. And where we get into trouble, and I'm going to say this, I'm all about taking personal responsibility.
Yeah.
Okay. Ain't no victimhood in the DietFree Diva.
Good.
Or what I project and how I coach women. No. We'll take the victim, put it over here. Yeah. But let's get real about sugar, salt, fat combo, what that does to our palate, what that does to our brain. Friends, it's in our faces all the time, 24 hours a day. You can go get that highly palatable processed junk that they call food.
Right.
That I would argue are actually drug-like substances. And we can chew and swallow that.
Yeah.
Okay. That green apple ain't going to taste so good on your tongue. Isn't that sad? When you become habituated, addicted to the highly palatable foods. Michael Moss wrote a book called Salt, Sugar, Fat, or Sugar, Salt, Fat. You get it. Salt, sugar, fat. And it talks about the food industry and the bliss point theory. Of course you can't eat one Oreo cookie. Of course you can't eat one Dorito chip. They know that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this. It's time for all of us to get productively pissed about that concept because we have been coerced and lured, all for profit, friends.
Exactly.
When I say let's get productively pissed, I'm saying, hey, hang on.
Yeah.
No.
It's like, let's just get productively smart and, really look and see what's actually happening to our food supply, to the soils of our planet. Everything is being sprayed with chemicals, with pesticides. The soil is depleted. The foods are being modified.
Yeah.
Why are we modifying things that are created in divine perfection? You cannot improve upon perfection, no matter how much the ruling class wants us to believe that by turning everything into modified, it gets better, or turning us into modified humans,
Mm.
that it gets better when we have artificial intelligence is far better than natural divine intelligence. Like, we have to start becoming naturally, reconnecting to our divine intelligence that is always flowing to us and through us. And it's that part inside that goes, hey, are you sure? Like, maybe that's not really the thing. Like that little inner voice that is always there guiding us, but we're taught to not listen to it. From the time we go to school, listen to your teacher, do what the teacher says. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense what the teacher's saying to me. Do it anyway. You have to listen to the teacher. And then our inner guidance that's going, I don't think this is the thing for me to do. And then we're told to override that, do it anyway, or you're going to be in trouble. It's like our inner guidance system gets literally overridden by these voices in our head. You have to follow the rules. You have to be the good girl. You have to do it the right way. Otherwise, you're going to be punished. And it's really, really difficult to live like this in this world where we're so disconnected.
So, along with what you just said, it's not our fault that we ended up like this.
Exactly.
However, we all have the opportunity to become curious about connecting to the divine wisdom that we all were born with. It's in there.
Exactly.
It's in there. And, Lisa, I think that, and I would love to ask you this question because I'm dying to know in your own words, because you speak so well about this. Going back, I'm putting myself in the shoes of anybody listening that is in that war with, look, I don't know how the food just tastes so good. Like what I eat right now, all of my pleasure and all of my joy in life is in the food that I'm eating. I'm really stuck. What are you talking about? Connect with my inner wisdom. In your words, I would love to hear you. And on behalf of everybody listening here, for someone that's really stuck in their body and in their relationship with food and with the programming, our earlier food story, we're stuck, we want out, but like, we don't trust ourselves. We feel horrible. We just feel horrible. How do we begin to, and I talk about this in my book a little bit, but I want to hear your words, connect with that divine inner wisdom and begin to trust that?
Well, it really, in my estimation, it really begins with making the choice. It's like so many times we like, well, I want to be thinner, or I want to be connected, or I want to do this, or I want to be better, or what. Those aren't choices. Like we keep circling the wagon, and we keep following the carrot. It's like, I want to be healthy, I want to be fit, but we can want to be forever. But until we choose to be, the wanting is just going to keep us wanting. It's going to keep us in that state of lack. We've never been taught that we need to actually make a really clear, conscious choice. And the power in that is that once we make a really clear, conscious choice, the choice to connect, the choice to nourish ourselves with high quality food, with high quality thoughts, with high quality intentions, dreams, high quality people, until we choose, it's not going to happen, because it doesn't happen all by itself. But as soon as we make a really clear choice, the universe literally rearranges itself to match our choice. And then everything we need starts to align itself for us. Everything comes to us, but we have to choose first and foremost.
And then once we choose, I agree so much. And that's what happened to me after my Ben and Jerry's explosions for the last time.
Yeah.
I
Right.
chose to
Mhm.
be open like never before, chose to be curious, chose to start nurturing myself with wholesome, unprocessed foods. And then here's the kicker, to be curious about, how do I feel when I do this? What are
Exactly.
the thoughts I'm having?
Mhm.
What are my emotions? What do I really need in this moment where I want to like punch a tree? What's going on? What just happened? Oh, somebody said something that triggered me. I'm feeling irritated. Learning how to connect and be curious one day at a time. And sometimes, Lisa, anybody listening? Sometimes 1 hour at a time. On those tough days, we have them all the time. 1 hour at a time. How can I best care for myself right now?
Exactly. You
And I
know,
go through a lot of that in the 5 steps. And in my book, I'm in the 5 steps. I talk about a trifecta of healing. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
This is why when I read your book, it goes right along with your message, Lisa. It's mind, body, spirit, trifecta. When we connect those dots in our soul,
Mhm.
we never look back.
Exactly.
I'm not addicted to sugar anymore. I know my relationship with it. I'm here to help all women out there that are struggling in private with their war on food, their body, whatever. That we have an opportunity, and I discuss this in my 5 steps, to step into what I call our graceful queen and live life with grace on our trusted terms as our best diva self. See how I just kind of sat up tall? There's nothing arrogant about this. It's dignity. It's, I got me. I know what works for me.
Mhm.
And I'm confident in my choices and I trust myself, not just with food, but with my life. And for that, I say, get out of the way, because then we empower other people around us with that thing that we do well once we have discovered what our sustainable terms are. And we never have to diet again. In fact, we'll sit back and laugh when we see the latest program pop up.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Once we are so clear in ourself, bringing body, mind, and soul back into full alignment. So it's one instead of the body, the mind, and the soul. They can't be separated. It has to be one. And once we bring ourselves back into that wholeness, then we stop compromising ourselves. We stop compromising and bowing down to the voices that say, you have to do it this way. Actually, no, I really don't.
Mm.
It's not, it's not where I live. You know, when we start to look at how this society is run, we're just bullied to death. Do this, don't do that. We're going to punish you. You know, we don't need to live in that society. That's not where, that's hell on earth. We're here to create heaven on earth. And when we connect to our divinity, we realize that we have been living in a soulless society, that nothing is sacred according to the powers that be in this society. And it's up to each one of us to reclaim our divinity, to take our sacredness back, and to look at ourselves as sacred beings. And then we stop compromising ourselves. We start to live with dignity and honor and respect, respecting ourselves, our bodies, the world around us, the plants, the animals. You know, we stop polluting the world. We stop living in argumentative state. We stop living in fight or flight. And we start to actually make clear choices of how we want to live and who we want to be. And once we know who we want to be and we start being that, then nobody can compromise us. We
I
don't
love
give
it.
that up.
I love it. Yes, yes, and yes.
So you have your book coming out this week. It's super exciting. You've
Yeah.
got your book launch, and I know that you have a workbook to go with that.
Yes.
So tell people about that.
Yeah. Okay. So the diet-free Diva, it's going to be on sale September 15th. You don't want to miss it. So go on Amazon September 15th. The diet-free Diva by Tracy Desjardins. 99 cents for the Kindle version. Kindle people out there, 99 cents. You can't even buy a sandwich for 99 cents. 99 cents for the Kindle. And it's going to be on sale for $14.44, I believe. It's either $14.44 or $14.77. I forget. 14 something on Thursday. And if you could all do me a favor and wait till Thursday to buy it, because I want you to have the sale price, but I'm funneling as many people as possible onto my launch day to boost my numbers for sale of the book. And in the book, as well as here, I offer a free template, which is like a workbook to help anyone reading get started with my 5 steps. So I give you a pathway. You're going to read so much in the book and you're going to want to be ready to go. Hopefully, no doubt you will. And you're going to want to just get started on you. By the way, no meal plan and no exercise guidance in this book. So if you're looking for that, first of all, don't look for it, but there's plenty of that out there. There is no meal plan. Yes, I talk about food and exercise, but maybe like this much. So, there's a workbook out there. It's on my website, www.theholisticdivas.com. And you'll see 5 steps to becoming a diet-free diva on my website. Click that. You can download your free workbook template to get started. And Lisa, I think you'll have that in the show notes as well.
I've just put it in the chat here on Facebook. I will put it in the show notes on YouTube as well. So, and they should be on the show notes in the podcast, Connecting You to You Radio as well. So
wonderful. Well, this has been so much fun. I've loved this conversation we've had together. I just feel so connected to you. I'm hoping I know everybody does. Yeah.
Well, I'm just so excited for your book. There are so many parallels between you and me as far as writing, where you just sat down and you just started writing, and you didn't sit down and go, okay, now I'm going to write a book. You just sat down and you started writing all of your wisdom. The same thing happened with me. It was, about I thought I was just writing a journal for myself to, just kind of get clear on what it is that I actually knew. And about 20 pages in, I was like, oh, this is a book. All right, just keep writing. Like, I never had any interest in becoming an author at all. But
wow.
once I could see that this book was just writing itself through me, I was like, all right, let's go.
What I love about your book and my book is we're helping other people. My book is written for women, but it applies to men too, honestly. I mean, let's get real. It applies to men as well. But we're helping people reclaim themselves, maybe for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really powerful. I really do. And I'm so proud of it. And I'm so proud to put something out there that will really help someone. Because when they heal from toxic dieting and they reclaim themselves, they discover who they are when they're not fighting with food. Wonderful things happen. And that sunshine that's going on in your background, bursts of sunshine will show up in every woman that heals from a toxic relationship with food as a result of dieting. And that is what I'm really hoping that my book will do, is just light up the world with sun when my readers become who they were meant to be and run with it.
Exactly. This is the Great Awakening. We are here to shine our light so that everybody can start waking up. It's like we've been living in this dark night of the soul for a very, very, very long time as humanity. And now the dawn of the new age has come. So we are here shining our light, being that sun to start helping everybody wake up from this dystopian nightmare that we've all been in, and realize that we have the power right inside ourselves to create heaven on earth for ourselves and everybody else around us as well. So We are so happy that you were here with us today, Tracy. So beautiful. We wish you so much luck with your book. And on Thursday in the group here, we will be putting the link to her book so that you can get her book for 99 cents and help Tracy's book go up to the top of the charts on Thursday as she does her amazing book launch. So thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to leave our audience with today, Tracy?
I just want to say thank you to everybody that tuned in on Sunday morning and for devoting your time to our conversation. And I encourage you to buy my book. And I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear how you feel as you start reading it. And I believe in your healing. And you're not alone. You are not alone in this journey of getting to the other side of toxic dieting. And I just can't wait to see who you become when you discover what you're all about, when you're not fighting with the war on diets.
Exactly.
So thank you for listening, everybody. And thank you, Lisa, for this opportunity to be on your amazing show. This has been wonderful. So grateful for you and all the work that you're doing in the world.
Oh, thank you. Likewise. I'm sure we will meet again and have some more conversations after your book goes #1 bestseller.
I would love that
for you.
Thanks, Lisa.
You are so welcome. So everyone, thank you so much for joining us for another Soulution Sunday, because the soul is the solution. You have everything you need to bring yourself back into alignment so that you can live your very best life. So thank you all again. I'm Lisa Warner. I'm the author of The Simplicity of Self-Healing, and you can find me at connectingyoutoyou.com. So until next week, create for yourselves a great week, everyone. Bye for now.